Passenger trains between Chicago and Milwaukee follow a route that has hosted railroads since the mid-19th century. Informally dubbed the Milwaukee Road, the former Chicago, Milwaukee, St. Paul, and Pacific Railroad route has been a popular route for travels as far away as Seattle and the Rocky Mountains, as well as intercity services for residents of sparsely connected population centers across the northern Great Plains. Before the automobile took over commuting duties for the average American, travel between Chicago and Milwaukee on this line would have been conducted from 1935 on by way of a Milwaukee Road train service called the Hiawatha. Before the formation of Amtrak, 2 daily round-trip runs of the Twin Cities Hiawatha made their way between the Twin Cities and Chicago daily, and were supplemented by daily long-distance trains as well. In 1971, Amtrak reduced Hiawatha service to the Twin Cities down to a single train in each direction beyond Milwaukee, but retained corridor train operation between Chicago and Wisconsin's largest city, with several trains per day. Today, Amtrak operates the Hiawatha service along a right-of-way that has turned from farmland to suburban sprawl in the post-war era. While commuter rail in the form of Metra services abound on the line, Amtrak is the sole operator to cross the state line on this route, running 86 miles in under 90 minutes. Train speed on the line isn't impressive, but heavy traffic volumes on Interstate 94 combined with transit infrastructure at each big city endpoint to keep the Hiawatha service popular enough to demand 6 to 7 round trips daily on the line. We picked up the Hiawatha at Sturtevant, Wisconsin, a village near Racine, the 4th largest city in Wisconsin, about a half-hour's commute south of Milwaukee, the largest city. The station lies on State Highway 20, about a mile from major commercial centers, though technically within walking distance. Bus connections are available for commuters on weekdays, though. The real drawing point of Sturtevant is the station parking lot, which is police-monitored and conveniently cheaper than Milwaukee or Chicago options, at a one-time cost of $7 per trip. This station was opened in 2006, replacing a century-old depot downtown that has since been relocated for restoration in Caledonia, Wisconsin. It's a fairly spacious station, with railroad history provided by locals in a display case, and public restrooms in clean, average condition. The platform up to the old Milwaukee Road is up an embankment behind the station. 2 side platforms serve trains with shelters and an elevated walkway connecting the 2 sides via an elevator and stair access. Being that no long-distance trains presently utilize the station, I'd say it serves its purpose well. Our journey south to Chicago is scheduled to take just over an hour. Our Sunday afternoon train is one of 6 southbound departures today. Hiawatha trains utilize Canadian Pacific Kansas City Southern tracks from Milwaukee until a short distance into Illinois, where Metra hosts Amtrak into Union Station.
Main track number 2 is track closest to the main station building. Once again, Amtrak train 336 southbound Hiawatha and Chicago will be arriving at Sturtevant on main track number 2. Main track number 2 is the track closest to the main station building. All aboard.
Our train 336 emerges from the curve beyond. The EMD F40PH non-powered cabbage car leading the consist of Horizon coaches with a single Siemens Charger locomotive, providing pushing power on the rear end. At over 34 years old, our Horizon coach is holding up well, offering a comfortable high back seat and better than airline coach legroom with tray tables and 2 power outlets per seat pair. There's no foot or leg rests, nor is there a cafe car with offered food or drink. The Hiawatha is presently a bare bones offering for Amtrak. As we get going southbound, autumn is in its full glory across the Midwestern plains outside as the landscape becomes progressively less of America's Dairyland and more Chicagoland. This route dates back to the earliest years of railroading in the Midwest. Serving both freight and passenger rail trains to this day, the Milwaukee Road runs with mostly double-track operations before entering the yards, junctions, and stations in and around Chicago proper. I've been taking this route for almost 15 years in my travels between the Twin Cities and Chicago. Today, this trip began with a 5-hour drive from my main layover point in Woodbury, Minnesota to Sturtevant, Wisconsin, rather than picking up Amtrak's Train 8, the Empire Builder, from St. Paul and riding with it the 8-hour or so journey from St. Paul to Chicago. The reason for our choosing the drive into Sturtevant in our planning is due to the Empire Builder's infamous eastbound tardiness. While on-time departures of the Superliner-equipped train do happen infrequently eastbound, the anxiety of how late the train will be, having traveled for 2 previous nights across mountain ranges, the Great Plains with its oil fields and numerous mile-long freight or commodities trains, makes the process of starting a train trip east from the Twin Cities uncertain at best, and often involving hours of delays at the start of one's trip. Going forward, hopefully in 2024, Amtrak has resolved to extend one Hiawatha train run in each direction daily to an endpoint of St. Paul Union Depot. These trains will be called the Great River, so named for the parallel running Mississippi River on the route in Minnesota, and will make the same intermediate station stops as the Empire Builder. The additional train is beneficial in that a turning point at St. Paul will provide better chances of arriving at one's destination on time than the Empire Builder presently does. But only adding one train daily isn't a tremendous frequency improvement. I'd ideally hope for an additional daylight running train as well as an overnight service for the most flexibility of arrival times across the route and a greater number of available connections in Chicago, both by Amtrak or other forms of transportation. We make one stop at Glenview prior to the final leg of our trip into Chicago proper. The Horizon coaches are great, certainly not fancy, but capable of long-distance service as they see on the routes in Michigan to Detroit and Port Huron. But I'm awaiting word on whether the state of Minnesota will be investing funds to further the Amtrak Midwest Railcar Pool, which would put a greater chance of running the popular-looking, big-windowed, chatty Venture coaches on the Twin Cities extension, possibly even with business class. I'm among the most easygoing Amtrak passengers and would be glad to ride the simple Horizon cars for 7+ hours, but something tells me Amtrak would like a more marketable train set making the new daily runs to St. Paul. On this trip and our return journey days later, this same Horizon equipment set served our trains well for just over an hour. But without a cafe car on the consist, I'm troubled by Amtrak making no announcements as of this video regarding whether the extended Great River service will offer food and beverages for purchase from an additional cafe car. The venture model cafes are currently on order, but the inclusion of even an Amfleet cafe car would be vital to the marketability of the Great River service across several hundred miles, whereas the Hiawatha's BYO food and drink policy gets by on the shorter existing route as more of an extended commuter rail offering, having a time and distance traveled similar to Metra in Chicago and other American commuter services where amenities wouldn't be standard. Hey, if it's got a bathroom and I can take dollar store snacks with me, I'm good to ride, but other folks tend to need more sustenance and entertainment than a dirty Horizon coach window. It's through such window that we can see the suburbs bloom into the established metroplex building blocks of Chicagoland as the city takes hold. Busier days can see rail congestion along this part of the route, but today's Sunday trip doesn't find us behind any Metra trains, and we can make our approach into Chicago Union Station unimpeded. The Hiawatha will be a better train someday with the inclusion of the Great River, with perhaps better connections, possibly even by rail, to Wisconsin cities of Madison, Green Bay, or Eau Claire, as Amtrak has theorized. Ridership was really good on this Sunday afternoon run with pretty full coaches. With greater outreach to communities along the line and a better working relationship with hosting freight railroads, Amtrak might be able to someday run a decent service akin to the heyday of Hiawatha's over a century ago on this line.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming up to the final stop of our trip downtown Chicago Union Station. We appreciate you riding with us. Hope you're around once again. As always, safety is our primary concern here at Amtrak. If you ask for right cap assistance, right cap should be on the platform. They're ready to assist us. They are first come, first served. Please allow those that we need the most to get to them first. We have check bags on our trainer continuing on another long distance train. Those bags should magically appear on your next train. I'll ask you to find those bags at the baggage claim area. Go inside the station to your right. Open around the ramp past the first hallway. On your left will be the Amtrak ticket desk with baggage claim right behind. If you have any questions regarding your tickets or your baggage, that's also where you wish to go. Once again, on behalf of everyone here at Amtrak, we appreciate you riding with us. Hope you ride us once again. Downtown Chicago Union Station coming up in just a moment.
See, when you're on the Superliner, all you see is that events. Now you can actually see them. That'll end our trip today, but the journey into Chicago continues, with a CTA Metro Jam and a Wanderlust travelogue in the coming weeks. And though I tried to avoid the holiday experience, it seems we'll get an eventual look at the tree in Union Station, which was beginning to be assembled on our arrival day. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe as you will. I'm glad you're along for the trip. See you next time.